Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of Nowhere. It's a brand new show. I've been doing this show for about 3 months now. And I'm enjoying it. There's always plenty of people in the chat room. Rebecca's there, Steph's there, Mel's there. I know he's always there. There's usually Joanne, Diane. I can go on. There's quite a few there. Well, I've got an interesting guest on my show today. His name is Agi Nosh. He's been on before, Agi, numerous times. Very well, nice person, very intelligent, knows a lots of things in life as well, spiritual and all that. Agi is an author, an on-air personality, seasoned aircraft pilot, hypnotherapist, UFO research and cosmic explorer, a student of many sciences including metaphysics, theatrical physics and different forms and theories of spirituality. Agi also hosts his weekly show at the Universal Conscious Show. Can we
Uh,
please welcome Agi to the show? Hello there.
yeah. Thank you for having me. And I think I sent you the wrong bio because I'm not doing the Universal Consciousness show anymore. We're doing Broadcast Team Alpha.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
BroadcastTeamAlpha.com. That way you will see everything that we do, all the goofy stuff that you're not supposed to know about.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Give us how did you get involved with consciousness and why did you move to America as well?
Oh, I followed my dream. I grew up on a farm back in Europe, and traditions are very strong in Europe, and you know that because
Yeah,
if you're born the oldest son on a farm, you're supposed to be a farmer. There is no way around it, and that was me. But I went through agricultural college and got my education. I figured it out. I didn't want to do that the rest of my life. So at 25, I left and went to the United States to become a professional pilot. And I did that, and I flew for a living for 23 years. And then I started doing other things, exploring the mind and writing and a lot of other things. Radio shows. I hosted and produced 2 TV shows for 6 years, and I've done a lot of goofy stuff. So I've had a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I yeah, I can imagine you have. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about Astra Travel.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
is.
it's give us a bit more information on that.
Well, it is really hard to wrap your head around if you have not done it. See, there is this saying out there, and it's just as relevant as it was some 2,500 years ago when it was said the first time that I know of. And it says that for the one who have had the experience, no explanation is necessary. For the one who has not had the experience, no explanation is possible.
Oh,
So, in order to understand this, we have to understand what we are, not who, but what we are, and what the environment around us is, the levels of existence that in different vibrations around us in this universe. And in order to get to understand this, I want to lay down a floor of understanding first. And at the end of the and I know you got people in the chat room there, and if they
yeah.
want to, in the maybe the second half of the show, we could I can take some questions. I love questions, especially the ones that I don't know the answer to, because then I have to go research. So I look those. But I in the towards the end of the show, I want to do a mind experiment with you all.
Brilliant.
And so you're going to get to feel what it looks like to be outside of your body looking back at yourself. And we can do that. I'm gonna tell you how you can do this and why it works, and maybe also should you really do it? Is it safe? That question always comes up. And what I would say first is that we lump anything outside of the body, we lump it together in the term astral travel, which is okay, but it may not be. There are two different types of what we call astral travel. One of them is when the astral body leaves the physical body and move outside, and it can move around, observe things. But there's another one, and that is consciousness travel. Some people call it soul travel, which
Hmm.
it really maybe, but it's more like consciousness. And the astral body is has an affinity to the physical body, and it's connected. It is on site where the physical body is all the time. Consciousness may not be always in the body or in the mind or in the brain. So the astral body is connected to the physical body through this what we call the silvery cord, because it kind of looked like grayish silvery. And
Yeah.
when you're close, that cord can be quite sizable. But when you travel, it stretches and it gets smaller and smaller, and it will not break. You can go quite a distance. And if you are in California, I probably could go to England and visit you in the astral vehicle. Now
Right.
there is a that is quite a distance. So the thread that connects the physical body to the astral vehicle is very thin at that time. If I run out of substance in the thread that holds the physical body and the astral vehicle together, then I would snap back into the physical body, and that's not a good experience.
Stay.
You hurt all over afterwards, because the astral vehicle is semi physical. There was a doctor in 1907 that proved that yes, there is something that leaves the body that has actually has weight when you die.
We'll be back on in a minute.
Yeah. So, but for the astral vehicle has no intelligence of its own. And a lot of times at night when we sleep, the astral vehicle leave the body and it gets out there and experience things and do things. But when we wake up in the morning, we don't remember. Now, there is a reason for that, because the astral vehicle has no intelligence of its own, so whatever it sees out there has to become memory, because it only works from memory. So when you see something out there, you have to feed that memory back through the cord, and you consciously have to do that. If you don't think on feeding that information back through the cord, unlikely that you will remember. Because then, when you feed it back, it gets in the physical body and it gets lodged in the brain as a memory. And it goes directly into long term memory. So you have to go and use triggers and ask yourself, did I experience anything last night? You can ask questions and maybe you could remember. But the other form of travel outside of the body is consciousness travel, and there is no limitation to distance. You can go to another galaxy if you like to. I would
Hmm.
highly suggest not to do that the first time you learn how to do this, but it is. there is a safety valve in the universe, and that is works for both the astral vehicle and the consciousness travel. You will always find your way home because all you have to do is to think yourself home and you're there. It may take a few moments to get back, but you that depends on how far away you are. If you went to another galaxy, yeah, it could take you a few moments to get back, but not very long. And you more so would be able to remember when you do consciousness travel because that consciousness is your memory and your mind, which has intelligence. So you can be out there, you see stuff, you discern things, you can calculate what is best to do, and you can think as you do here.
Right.
So and another thing is when you start out with this stuff, you are walking into a totally new environment. You do not understand that environment, and the, that can be scary. It can be because there are other beings out there and things. Yes, I said things
Things,
because
yes.
yeah, not everything out there are beings. There are things that may not look like humanoids at all. Depends on how far up into the astral vibrations you are. And those things, they they usually leave you alone because you're different. But there are disembodied entities stuck in the astral world,
Right.
and they see you look different than what all of them do. So they will sometimes come and ask questions. They're needy. They're lonely. They're some of them are mad because the brother-in-law shot them with his, or he had a car accident and died, and he's got so much to do back here on Earth that he didn't get finished, and he's pissed off because of that. And they're needy. They come to you, can you tell my wife I'm okay? And I would say in the beginning, leave them alone. Try not to communicate because they can follow you home. And you
Right. So
may,
they're stuck. Are they stuck in time then?
yeah, they're stuck in exactly time because we always have heard that outside of the physical, time and space is not like we understand it here, which is basically true. But in the lower astral worlds, linear time still exists. So they're stuck there and they've been there a while and they don't understand why am I here? Why don't anybody talk to me? And they got all kinds of questions and they're lost. So what we can do about that is that you talk with them and tell them this is not your home. You need to go home. And they may not understand where that home is. Ask them if they have seen the tunnel of light. There is one. And if they haven't, then tell them to use the telephone. Yeah, there is a spiritual telephone. And
A
it,
telephone.
yeah, it's not one like this. Well, you can't see it. It's like the cell phone or the one on the wall that we used to have. Remember that? No, it's
Yeah.
not like that. The spiritual telephone works like, let's say your mom has already passed over. She's on the other side, and
Right. Yeah.
you don't know what happened to her there. She's somewhere. Her consciousness is somewhere. Spirit is somewhere. Soul is somewhere. But visualize her in front of you. Feel the love and the emotion of looking at her and tell her, Mom, I am here, come and get me. Because everything outside of the physical is telepathic. When you think of her and visualize her, that message goes through the quantum field to where she is. And she just might be able to receive that message and come and tell you, sorry, son, this is not your home. Let's go home. Follow me. And then that soul can pass over and be where your mom is.
Right.
So that all depends where your mom is. It should be at least a better place than where you were before. Because she has gone through the education process, she had a life review, and she's got a little better understanding, and she's higher up the ladder, so to speak, than you are. And this is something that when you get out into this environment, there's a lot to learn. And if you're traveling in the astral vehicle, keep feeding it back through the core so you can learn from it. Otherwise, it could be learning experiences out there that are lost because you will not be able to remember. Another thing to remember is there really isn't any danger to this because there's nothing physical out there that can get hurt. The only danger I can think of is mental. If you run into something that is really scary, that can make a mental scar that can stay with you after you get back, and it can create a subconscious barrier for you to prevent you from going out and leaving your body later.
That's interesting, that is. Okay. I think you seized up a minute, but I'm sure we'll get you back in because we're talking about energy. And I can be with us shortly. He's just transfixed in himself. But he'll be back shortly. The energy's pulled him in. I think he's trying to get back on another one here. Right, we're here.
I I don't know what happened. My computer,
Your energy.
the whole thing shut down, so I had to get back. Huh.
Yes, where you're back with us.
Yeah, gosh. And I got a mosquito in here. He likes me. God. Uh, Now, let me also talk a little bit about what we are and why this works. Remember, we've been hearing also that we are a spiritual being having a physical experience.
Hmm.
There's a little more to it than that. We are a spiritual being, we are a mental being, we are an astral vehicle, and we are a physical body, and all of them work together. But the the spiritual being cannot get hurt. The mental is usually okay as long as you don't get bogged down by fear. Whatever you see out there cannot hurt you unless you believe it can.
Right.
Then it can create those mental scars. So I would say just before you go out, decide what to do. where to go. If you want to go to Biloxi, Mississippi in the US, just visiting a friend, talk to the friend first and tell him what you're doing. You say, is it okay if I come and visit? Then he'd probably say, yeah. So there is doing these kinds of activities is there's some responsibility with it. I would say I know people do it, but try not to go and visit somebody if you don't have permission. It's kind of like going to your neighbor. You knock on the door first, right? So that means when he comes to the door and you go in, you got permission. You don't go into your friend's house without knocking on the door.
Correct.
And besides that, there is other responsibilities that ranks a little higher than that is that privacy. Don't visit anybody in the shower.
No, that's
That's
frightening.
that is a no-no because that will create a barrier because your soul essence, your consciousness know that is wrong. And that will create a barrier in your subconscious mind that could prevent you from leaving it, going out afterwards, and visiting other people. So there are tens of hundreds of thousands of people doing this. Some of them talk about it, but most people never talk about it.
Keep it to themselves.
Yeah, because there's this stigma out there says that nah, can't be possible. That's ridiculous. That guy is nuts. No, no, it's not true. He's lying. There, there's all kinds of. You see, the science and government and religion tells us that this is not possible because they, first of all, they don't want us to know, and for the second, they can't explain it, so it doesn't exist.
That's the main thing. They can't
Yeah,
explain it.
yeah. It's not in their book. Government, you got to remember the. Oh, this is good. I got to say this ever so often.
John,
The the definition of a bureaucrat. You know what that is?
yeah,
Uh,
Kim Snyderbean or Kim Snyderbean.
uh, we um, we think we know what a bureaucrat is, but look at Random House Dictionary, second edition, unabridged, says a bureaucrat is one who works in repetitious ways without intelligent thinking.
right.
No intelligence. That means that means if it is in their manual, they can do it. But if it isn't in their manual, they cannot do it.
Wait,
So Astra Travel is not in their manual, so it doesn't exist. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't eat it, you can't taste it, you can't throw it in the air and shoot holes in it. It doesn't exist. But the hundreds of thousands of people that is doing it, they know different.
it's
And
funny you
we,
saying that because Alison's just saying, I'll just put it up on there for you. Alison's just saying, so I see spirit, but not physical. I see them like in my mind's eye.
Mhm. Yeah, that's where they show up. Sometimes, sometimes they also can show up physical because the higher spiritual entities they have more spiritual capacity. They're able to lower their vibration and take physical form, which is only a holographic expression of the consciousness anyway. There is nothing physical except for the holographic expression of me and you and whoever
Mm,
else. So they have the capability of doing that, and then they can show up as we are. We can have conversations. I've had that happen. And we can converse because they are where we are. Same vibration or close to it. So this is something that with practice and in order to learn astral travel or soul travel, consciousness travel, you need to practice a little bit. To give you an idea, I was probably one of the really slow ones because I did it every night before I went to sleep for at least a month and a half. But when I succeeded, I got out and I could, let me back up a little bit. Sometimes you can get out, but you have something called astral blindness. That
Right.
means you know you're out, but you can't see anything.
Right.
Then to look at yourself and visualize yourself, and that blindness will go away. But when I got out, I didn't have any of that. I just turned around and looked at myself in the bed, and they scared the daylight out of me. I thought, oh no, did I die? And I hurried up and tried to get back in the body, and it didn't work right away, and that scared me even more.
It would do.
Yeah, well, that was a scary experience. But then again, I started realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is what I've been trying to do. So I started moving around the room, moving into other rooms, and you find out that you can't walk anymore. That's a funny thing too, because you can try to walk, but nothing happens because you're floating. So now you have to think yourself going through the door, or think yourself going right through the wall into another room. So
What about sleep paralysis?
sleep paralysis, I think, can be a nutritional deficiency for one thing, but very often it is. Well, I have heard quite a few people that have had extraterrestrial beings enter the room, being in the room with them, and the person in the bed has a form of spiritual sleep paralysis. They cannot move the body. They know
That's
they're
right.
there. They can look. Their eyes can move around. That's the only thing that can move. They see the extraterrestrial or the little grays, but they can't move. So that is from an outside source. That is a technology that the extraterrestrial have in order to numb the muscles so they can't move. And I think there's a lot more of that than we
I've had
think.
that done.
Uh,
That's happened
uh,
to me a few times.
yeah,
That's
have you?
happened to me a few times. Yeah.
Mm. Do you feel then that you had visitors in the room?
I feel as though I did. Yeah. I couldn't move. Uh, thought I saw like aliens at bottom of bed, and I couldn't move my body at all. I feel as though I wanted to put my hand out and touch me, but I
Mm.
couldn't move at all. It was as though it was frightening at the beginning, and it's happened a few times now. And then later on, I think, well, it's happened before this. You were okay. Just see how far you can go, and then also I just wake up again.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot more of that than we think.
Probably.
There, yeah, there is. Uh, Now, if you had something like that happen, have you checked, or do you feel like you have an implant or something like that?
I've thought about that as well. I've checked for marks on my body.
Yeah.
I always do after. Well, sometimes you go back into sleep again, and then next morning I get up and think, right, let me have a
Yeah,
look all over my body,
yeah,
and I haven't felt anything. I've rubbed my hands
mm,
down my side of my arms and back of my head, just in
yeah.
case anything's been planted.
You should
Uh,
do you should do a hypnosis session sometime where you go back and try to find out, have a hypnotist take you back to a moment where you had that, and then
yes,
find out what happened.
good idea.
Yeah, that could turn very interesting for you.
I think it will do.
Yeah, and let me also mention a little bit about the kind of entities that you may run into out there. There are several levels of a vibration within the astral worlds. I think it's at least seven or more, maybe. So the lowest part of the astral worlds of vibration, that is the garbage dump of the spiritual existence, because that's where, let me back up again. We have the physical body that is born, and then it grows older and it dies, right?
Right.
That's the rumor on the street anyway, and we have, it's a persistent one. So then again, the astral vehicle has an affinity to the physical body. If the physical body dies, the astral vehicle is let go. Now it's on its own, and it operates only from memory. So it is only another body that will eventually decay and die. That gets stuck in the very lowest level of the astral world. You can see the decomposition of astral vehicles all over the place. I uh,
I
I
know
have to.
when we talked about sleep paralysis, Steph was just saying, I used to get sleep paralysis all the time as a kid. I used to see shadows and figures. The worst was the bed covers being pulled off me.
Oh,
That must have been frightening.
you had visitors. Yeah, yeah. You need to do a hypnosis session on that one, and then
And then I
having.
think Joanne just said,
Yep.
Joanne's here, and she just said, my daughter used to have sleep paralysis as a kid and used to feel strong vibrations with it. She was so scared.
Yep. See, the extraterrestrial visitors very often follow a particular line of genetics, like from grandfather to your father to you to your children. They follow that line down there because there's something in
Right.
the genetics that attracts them or they have interest in. So, yeah, you go find a hypnotist, have him take you back to where you were a little kid and record it. Make sure you record it. Because if the hypnotist is good, he'll take you down to a place into deep theta where you cannot understand a thing, you don't hear a thing what the hypnotist says. From there on, you will react to his questions and you'll explain what you see, and if he is good, and he'll make you be an observer, not go back and relive it, because if it was scary, then you have to relive the scare too.
Right.
No, make it an observer so you can see yourself what's happening. That way it doesn't affect you so much. This is something that I learned 50 years ago. So, and yeah, I think you're gonna have fun with that one when you do it. Now, the astral world, like I was saying, it has several levels of existence in it. And if you are in one level of vibration within the astral realm, you may not be able to see other entities at other levels of vibration. So that's why, let's say that you are an astro traveler and you want to go and see something, and then you make a deal with a friend of yours and, hey, I'm going to come over to your place and both of us will leave the body and we'll go to the Schrodinger crater on the moon and watch the Nazi German base. You can. I've done it. So now one of you have to go to the other person. That's the best way to do it. And then you both leave from there.
Right.
Because then you'll be on the same vibration when you're observing each other. If you get out and he get out, and you can be in a level of existence where he is not is, so you will never be able to find him. But the good part about all of this is sooner or later, at least the rumor says so, that we will drop the body and we'll all be spiritual beings and everything that goes with it. So what happens there is that a spiritual person that understands a little bit about the spiritual arena, they will not spend much time in the astral world at all. They're just going right through it up into the higher vibration where everything is bliss. Because the people that get stuck in the astral worlds are usually the ones that have very little, if any, spiritual knowledge. What I have found is most of the entities you run into is atheists. They don't understand why they're there. Or they understand that they were wrong about the fact that they were nothing after their death, but then they don't understand anymore. So gaining spiritual knowledge, and especially see yourself in the higher vibration. See yourself as a light being, see yourself as a spiritual being. Then that's what you will be drawn to when you drop the body. And the astral world is full, not full, but there's a lot of stuck, disembodied entities there. So when you get up into the higher vibration, then linear time goes away, and everything that was, is, and will be, if it was ever thought of, becomes a potential for something that can be created. Let's say that when you ask for, let's say you are in an arena or a level of existence where everything past, present, and future is right there.
Right.
We don't, we're not taught how to think that way. That's how, if you communicate with a light being, they can give you information like in one clump. You get the whole download in one time, and you got a whole bunch of information from the past and the present in there. We're not capable of understanding all that, so we have to stretch it out. So we get more time to go through the present moments that covers all of the happenings. Then we can understand it. Same up there. When everything is right there in the present, you can think of something that you want to see or relive or understand. When you think about something, it pops out of that bubble and you can observe it and you can understand it, you can see it, you can feel it. And then if you think about something else, whatever you thought about before disappears back into the quantum again. Then you think about something else and that pops out so you can see it. This is, it's not a lot of people talking about this, but that's how it works.
Quantum physics.
Yeah. There's quite a few people out there explaining about things, and some of the things I've never seen, so you may question what they're doing. But when we eventually drop the body, expect us, know and expect that we'll be going into the higher vibration, and that's because that's our home. And there's more things for us to do, more things for us to learn. I
Got a
haven't been,
question from Joanna here. I'll
yeah,
just have this one. Hiya, Aggie. What do you think of reincarnation soul trap therapy? Is it just fear mongering or some truth to it?
yeah, it makes great radio and make great TV talk about all that fear. The soul essence is sovereign. You cannot trap it. We are hearing some people say that the archons they feed on our soul essence. No, they don't. They feed on the fear that we have in our mind.
Yeah,
That strengthens them, but that's not the soul. And the reincarnation soul trap. Some people say that you got to go through the sun to. I don't know. No, I've seen anything like that. But it makes great radio talking about it for some people.
oh, of course it does. Yeah, and that's why we have people in chat room to ask these questions.
Yeah. No, I about close to 10 years ago now, I had a universal download when the universe was explained to me in concept and detail, and it's there. I can concentrate on it and bring it back out, and I can see things, observe things. But in there, I saw nothing about going through the sun or the. Some people say that don't go to the light; it's a trap. Yeah, it's a trap. It traps you in pure love and bliss.
Yeah,
Personally, I don't think it would be all that bad to be trapped in that. Actually, it's not a trap, it's just an existence. There's a lot of people with near death experiences that has come back and said that it was nothing like I thought it was. It was total a phenomenal feeling of love. And they saw other people around, they saw their guards, I mean the guides, they
yeah,
saw spiritual beings there, they had conversations, they had a life review, and we will have one of those. Some people had two of them actually. And
yeah,
when you go through that, well, let's say that you really hurt somebody in the when you were in physical body, you hurt them really bad. Now you're going to have to relive the feeling of that person that you hurt. You will go through it so you will understand how they felt. That is part of the learning, the re education process on the other side. So when the Bible says that God will judge you, it's actually true. In Psalms, or yeah, in Psalms of the Bible, they say, "You are gods." So we judge ourselves. That person that we screwed over really bad in the past, we get to feel what they felt, and we make a judgment on, or discernment, maybe I should say, on how that person felt, and we learn from it. There is no judgment in it, so to speak, but it's a learning experience that we get to see the other side of what
Yeah.
we did. Now, I have a um, couple of stories of what can happen out there on an astral journey. I mentioned that you and your friend can go to the Schrodinger crater on the moon and look at the Nazi German base. Remember that? I said that about 2 minutes ago. Yes, you can. If you have a map of the moon, find the Schrodinger crater. Schrodinger crater. Uh, it's quite sizable, but inside of it, towards one side, I think is what we would consider being the east side. It's hard to say what's up and down up there, but there is a building, a very old building, at least a half a million years old, that looks like a swastika.
Right.
It's built by stone and it's very tall. I don't know. But it's a mile and a half or well over a mile. Each leg of it is long. In 1942 or 43, when the Germans built the Haunebu 2, that was an interplanetary craft that flew to the moon. They flew around the moon and mapped it, and they found this crater with this old stone building in it. And of course, they fell in love with it. Only that the hooks on the swastika was in the other direction from what Adolf created. But in there, they started building a base, and that base is still there. The Germans are still there. So if you are an Astra Travel, if you want to go there, first of all, I want to say be a little quick, be careful, because when I went there, I got in because you can go in through one side where there is no doors. You can get in, and there's just portals that is there. You can get in, and I got in and looked. It looked like a big laboratory with all kinds of equipment, and there were people in there. One of them saw me, and he came walking quite fast up towards me. Yes, you can walk on the moon. You don't do like the people that did it in 1969. That was just a fake anyway. But he came right at me, and it was very obvious to me I was not wanted there, so I left. And I would say, they're still Germans, so they are very technical oriented and they are very analytical. And if they see something they don't like, they're going to tell you.
Mm.
There was another. I think we got a few minutes left. I'm going to tell you another quick story. For this is something that you can do that is more fun, probably.
Yeah.
If you want to get on an alien spacecraft, you can do that by consciousness travel or astral travel. Go outside at night and look up into the sky and visualize, let's say, a circular big craft, and then find let's say a lawn chair where you can lay down and get out of your body and go up there and or search around. Let yourself know that I will find a spacecraft and I will enter. And if you give yourself directions like this, and the vehicle will go towards where there is. And you can get there before, when you see the craft, stop on the outside and ask, can I come in? You may get a come in or you may get nothing. I got nothing one time when I did that. There's been a few times. I've never gotten any answer, but I had a good feeling about it. There were nothing that felt negative or scary or anything, so I just floated through the wall inside, got into a room where it was empty, and I floated down a just slightly curved hallway, and there were rooms on each side, and they were pretty much open, no doors. I don't know if the door folded into the wall or what it did, but it was open, and there were people in there. Some of them looking just like me, different clothing, but they looked like me. And they saw me because I made eye contact with more than one, but they ignored me. They just looked at me for a few seconds and then turned
Yeah.
around and kept doing what they did. They didn't really care if I was there. Another time I did the same thing. Being a pilot, I would love to see the cockpit on one of those things, you know.
I bet you
So,
would.
yeah, so I got into the ship and they saw me also. And I floated to where I had told myself I wanted to see the cockpit. And there was underneath the craft, there was kind of a round room. There were a, a kind of like a desk at one side, and there were things in the air, kind of like holographic images and strings being touched together, and there were images floating around in the air in front of one person that was sitting at this long desk, kind of like a ship, about 100 feet long bridge. This one was curved a little bit. He sat with his hands on the table or the desk, and he was, well, I don't know. The person was just sitting there. There were others in the room. They saw me, but they also ignored me. So I was there for a while. I was looking around, and I felt like, well, I've seen it now, so I left again. I felt got to the point where I felt like I was imposing on them,
Right.
and then it didn't feel right, so I left. And I tell you, folks, if you learn how to do this, and it's simple, your world will never be the same. You will,
Aggie, did you say you was going to do something with us before the end of the show?
yeah, the mind experiment. Let's do
Yes,
that.
please. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, before we do that, let me tell you a little bit about. I think we got about 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's let me tell you how you go about doing this. You lay down, go into a meditative state, and then see yourself rolling out of bed, but decide what to do first. When you say that, I will go to so and so place and I will observe, or just float through the apartment or the house and just decide what to do first. Roll out of bed, sit up, and stand up, and then turn around and visualize yourself looking at yourself in the bed. Now, if you do this, sooner or later your consciousness is going to react to it. It could take a week, could take a month. Some people catch on like duck to water, and it's quick. You never seen a duck drown, have you? so,
No.
so, but let's do that mind experiment. And for those of you that is watching this recording, let's say in your car or listening to it somewhere where you are doing something where you need your presence of mind, turn it off. Because this is going to take you away from your present moment. See yourself sitting in a chair. Close your eyes. You know what you look like. You know what your clothes are. You know what shirt you have on. If you have rolled up sleeves, you know what you look like. Now raise up in your mind's eye, raise up out of your body and stand up. So now you're standing in front of yourself, facing away. Take 3 steps forward. Now stand there, turn around and look at yourself sitting in the chair. You know what you look like, you know what your hair is like, you know you're sitting there with a headset, you're sitting there with hands crossed, hands in your lap. You know what you look like. You see yourself sitting there. Take about 20 seconds to think about what you look like in that chair. There you are, right in front of you. Just see your eyes closed, relaxed, sitting in the chair. See it in your mind's eye. That's what it would look like. So now turn around, face away from yourself, take 3 steps backwards, and sit down into yourself. And there you are, home in your physical body. Now, if this method relates better to you or resonate better to you than laying in the bed and rolling out of bed, you can try this one too. So,
Very interesting.
yeah, go do it.
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah,
sure they will do.
yeah. And
Um,
there is so few people trying to do this, and so few people learning it. If you are, if you're getting to the point where you know you're out, you can see things, you can do things, get in touch with me. We can have an interesting conversation.
of course you can.
You know
Yeah,
where you
we're
find me?
nearly there. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you then?
Yeah, you can get to broadcastteamalpha.com. Send me a message, and I'll get the email, and I'll get back to you, and we can talk.
Do you do a group chat then as well?
Yeah, we do. We do. Oh gosh, we have a mastermind put together where we do incredible things. We reach into the quantum, find things that we need in our life, and we bring it in here with us, and it just shows up. It feels like we are creating things out of seemingly nothing sometimes. And in fact, in this book, Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness, I teach you how to do all these things. I teach you how to do things with your mind that you normally would never think would be possible.
So where can they get your book then?
Amazon is good. Just put my name in there and it will show up.
What night's your show on then?
Other show, Broadcast Team Alpha, that is now on Thursdays at 4 o'clock East Coast US time. I think it's 9 o'clock in the
9 o'clock UK time.
Yeah, 5 hours.
So that's not bad.
Yeah, so that's good, and we do incredible things there too. Especially if you go into the videos, I have created videos that are about how to reprogram your mind for success or health or whatever you want it to. And I also explain about how the universe works. Just go into the video section of it and scroll down, and you're gonna find things that you really want to watch.
Right. Thank you to that, Argie.
Yeah,
Thank you to everybody in the chat room for all the questions. It's always nice for questions to ask my guest.
yeah. And in the words of Spock, live long and prosper.
And we'll see you on the other side.
Sounds good.
Good night.
Good
And
night.
thank you again, Argie.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the girls in the chat room and the men as well. I have to think about that then.
Hey, good night.
And yeah, good night.